morning, today 279. Sorry about the delay in videos over the weekend. It was my daughter's 7th birthday on Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday was a bit beach stuff and people stuff, and anyway, so I didn't actually get around to filming on Saturday, and I merged Friday and Sunday's video together. Anyway, new to the channel, obviously this is the monstrous build that we've been doing in Barbados for the last 8-9 months, and we just record our goods and bads and trials and tribulations of building in the Caribbean and dealing with a completely different culture and different process. So we try and pass on the good and the bad in the hope that people can learn and also buck up the courage to do it ourselves. So whilst you're on the channel, please like and subscribe, and the more people we can try and get signed in and liking and commenting, the more people get to see and share, and the more we get to learn as well, because sometimes we do hit a few roadblocks, speed humps, brick walls, and it's nice to reach out to you guys and sort of ask your advice and see if any skilled people out there can advise what to do, or sometimes just even a colour. What's the best colour to pick, as we did over the weekend with the steps. So welcome to anyone new, anyone that's existing, or don't want to say old because you're not old, but anyone that's been on the channel for a while, welcome. Yesterday, quite funny, I was at a beach with my daughters and my wife, and some lady from Canada was on holiday, and she came over and said, "Oh, what's your YouTube channel?" Morning, Michelle. How are you? Again, same thing. They're looking to build on a plot of land on the island, and are a bit nervous about where to start and how to go about it. And trust me, it is building anywhere in the world is reasonably challenging. But if you're not from the Caribbean and you're certainly not going to be here, it's a very, very risky thing to do. Because as you know, sometimes things don't go according to plan, and then the next minute your budget's gone out the window and you have no house. So I did say to Michelle yesterday, if there's anything I can do to help or any suggestions I can give, then by all means get in touch, and I would do the same for anyone on the channel as well. So if anybody does have any current issue or is considering building and does want some advice, then please feel free to reach out. Okay, so where are we so far? So the weekend is obviously, as I always say, it's a bit skeleton staffed. We did crack on and make priority the formwork on the garage. As you can see, the front 4-foot beams have gone on. The inner panels are now starting to go in. And the biggest thing really for this to be finished and ready to pour is the rebar and the beams that need to be erected and built and installed in and around the actual the building itself. So I'm going to get up there in a minute and have a quick look about what was done yesterday, because the rebar guys did come in. I can see a few beams up there, so I'm not too sure if they're installed. You can just see them in that top corner just there, look. So there's beams up there, so I'm not too sure if they're just up there laying there waiting to go in or what. I'm not too sure. But they turned up yesterday without any rebar wire. Rebar wire is what they use to tie the steel together. So it's like an electrician and a screwdriver. If you turn up without a screwdriver, you're not going to do a great deal of work. So yeah, apparently they turned up with no rebar wire, so I'm not too sure how much work they managed to get done, because unfortunately I didn't hang around. So anyway, it'd be good to see how they got on yesterday and try and work out where we are and make sure we're on target to make sure we're finished by Saturday morning, because we are pouring Monday/Tuesday morning. So let me show you the build, what the side of the garage is currently looking like. This is the wall that we landed up building out. The wall this side. This one here is the one we took down because it was bad, and we now have this corner piece hanging out. So what we'll do in this corner piece here is we'll put rebar and steel all the way through here. This will be boxed up in a L-shape flat function, and it will be poured as a beam. So this will end up being a support beam also for the beam above, so it will certainly be more solid than it would be if we did it in block. The sides have already been plastered. This has got to be done, obviously. This needs to be plastered in and out. So does this, but we'll do that after the actual concrete has been poured in here. We've also still got to get the wipeout done in here. So we're probably going to have to chop some of this rebar out to try and get the depth we're looking for, to make sure we've got a decent run. That definitely needs to have a triangular run from 3/4 of an inch all the way down to 2.5 to 3 inch, to ensure that any water that lands up coming this way or this way finds that and gets away from the back of the garage. Morning, Smithy. Here we've already got the actual track dug out. We've got to make sure we get the depth needed. We've got to go through the beam at the other end, and I've got to source the pipe work needed to go in here to ensure that, number one, we've got the right run, and two, the right thickness, to ensure when we drive over we don't crack it, split it and destroy it. Again, I'd like to do a wipeout in here, really, like we're doing over there, but the downside to that is that driving over a wipeout means that you're going to be, the opposite to a speed bump. You're going to be banging in it all the time, and then you're going to chip the front and it's going to fall off. So the best thing to do, I think, is put a T-junction in here, so the pipe comes out here, an oval space that the water lands up wiping into. It will fall down this pipe here. We'll have another one in the middle about here. Same thing, T-junction in the pipe here, and a piece in the concrete so the water goes in that way. And we'll have the same in this corner here on this side of this. So around here somewhere, to ensure that the water, any water coming down here finds that and goes that way, and any water that gets past this way, obviously, finds this, another big hole in the T-junction, goes to the pipe, and all the water runs through here. Once we chop that beam out, it runs through there, straight through that marl, and we'll punch it through the wall over there at a run, and then take it straight down the front to the road. So that's what we're looking to do with those pipes. They need to be looked at some stage this week. However, our main priority at the moment, obviously, is getting the formwork in solid, straight, and ensuring that we're ready for the pour. The formwork is slightly at an angle. It's aiming in, so we do need to make sure that that is pulled back over somehow, or the bottom of it is pulled back in. Otherwise you have a swollen beam, so you have a triangular beam at the top and the bottom, which means you have to plaster down and lose that, which is always a pain in the backside. So yeah, the wall and the column needs to be sorted out, and the rest of the boxing obviously is going to be going in, and we need more supports coming this way. So we've got some 8x3s in the basement, so we'll probably end up putting the 8x3s in here. They're probably the biggest, most stable solid wood we have. So that's pretty much where we are in here. Obviously they've been pulling some lengths out ready to do what they've got to do. So again, looking from here, you can see the steel on the roof up there, look. So I don't know where they are with that, and there's no rebar guys here as yet, so hopefully they're going to be coming this morning. There was some sanding down taking place on Saturday inside in the cottage, so let's see where Sherman got with that. Hi Sherman. So yeah, I think this has just been skinned, so we need this is going to be sanded down. And then obviously we've got to get the shower element in there still filled as well. So I think whilst they're mixing mortar, I'll get them to bring some up here and get that in. They've also chased that out as well, which was one of the final bits that wasn't done. As a result, that water was going in there and finding its way down the other side. So we've got to get those done today. So I'm probably going to get one of the masons to get onto that, because we still got every window frame and door frame without that, which means that water just goes in. So we're not ready yet. Obviously the doors haven't arrived and the windows haven't arrived, but it's something we need to do to stop the water from going in as and when it takes place. Sounds like a note for me. Another invoice. Okay, and then we talked about the steps. Are we going to paint the steps? Everyone's saying yes. Okay, what colour? Obviously there are concrete colours there at the moment, which looks fine. So do we colour them? Do we stain them? I do have a dark grey stain. Might be worth doing that. It's actually a concrete stain as well, so it's actually designed for concrete. So it might be worth just giving that a go. But obviously once it's done, it's done. I mean, I suppose you can paint over it, but it's a very dark grey, like the front door, dark grey stain. So let me know what you think. Should I paint them dark grey? Might be worth doing. Okay, so other than that, plan for today is formwork, really. Formwork in here, sanding down the cottage ceiling, and the entrance, window, doorway entrances, the little concrete slopes that we've got to do. That's probably the priority for today. So where are we now? It is 8:15. I will check in as in when I know more or see any changes. Again, like and subscribe for me, get some comments going, and I'll check in sort of mid straight late morning. Okay, so we're 12:25. I'm going to give you an update on a few other things. But one thing we've actually been having an issue with is our bifolds at the front. Bifolds meaning they weren't really set up right from day one, as we all know. And there's a few teething problems we've experienced since then as well. One being that the door frames themselves have got a plastic, I think they call it like a heat thermal sort of bead that goes all the way around. It's a double, it's like a square bit of plastic that you actually punch through both sides to attach the frames to certain things, and also what I've just found out is you're meant to actually put bleed holes through for the water to leak. So the tracks in the last couple of days have been filling up with water, which I'm going to show you. And as a result of that, also if you don't dam the windows properly, dam meaning silicone both ends and make sure the caps are on, then the water can leak into the actual walls and into the house, which is what we've been having. So let me show you what I mean. So here's the actual door tracks themselves, and this is where the weakness lands up becoming in the corner here. So I'll show you what I mean in here. Again, we've got skirting boards on here now, so again MDF. MDF actually soaks up water, which is not ideal. So this one holds water. So as you can see, what we need to do is now measure in this plastic area here. We have to measure 25 and drill a hole, and there's 2 bits of plastic we have to drill through, and then 400 we drill a hole. So there's 4 holes we now mark out and drill, and they end up looking like this. So you land up drilling through the first part into the second part, and then the water lands up coming into the threshold and dripping out underneath here. Now what I've also done is, because they weren't dammed properly, I'm actually siliconed in here and filled this up. So what you're meant to do is dam this. So on the side of that, you've actually got a plastic cup that sits on the side. You take the cup off, you silicone and fill the whole thing up, and then put the cap back on before you insert this and fix this into the floor. That hasn't been done on a couple of them, because what's happened is 2 of the doors are holding the water in there. So it's the water that hits the windows, rolls down, and either goes behind the gasket or in front of the gasket and lands up in this track. Now 2 of the windows are holding water, 2 of them are not holding water. The ones that aren't holding water, unfortunately, the skirting board is now soaked up the water and it's now blown. And these are stuck onto the wall as well. So how I'm going to get that off and change that, I do not know. It certainly won't dry out now, and as you can see, it's gone a bit spongy. Not very spongy, but it's definitely wider and spongy. So this one's now been drilled, the 2 holes this end, another 2 holes that end. I need to now brush those out, get those completely debris free. This one's now done as well, and again, like the other door, so you now have the water that's leaked in through there. So I thought the water was leaking in from outside. It wasn't. It was leaking in from the threshold straight down onto the floor, and now the skirting board's been absorbing the water. So we've now worked out that that was one thing that wasn't done from the window install, and now we have to go ahead and do it on all of them. Now the other thing you've got to try and do as well, because there's two gaskets that you're literally going through, you've got to try and make sure you do it at an angle, because one of them is so close. I'll show you a picture in a second, but as you can see, I've marked out where that is now. You've got to try and go through one side, which makes a little bit of a pop, and then you see a separate one, but then it starts biting on the aluminium. So you don't want to go through the aluminium, but you need to be near it. And then you get the furs out. And now apparently that should leak through to this, and underneath this, right in the very front underneath here, there's a little weep hole, and that's where the water comes out apparently. So we've got to do that on all 4 sets of bifolds. And you can just about see on that one, you can see where it hit the aluminium at the very bottom. Just about see it. That's what you need to do basically. Again, remove the fur. Plastic fur, that is. Same thing on this one. Again, pre-marked out 400. So you can hear it go through both surfaces. That's what you've got to do on all. Now the one thing I also haven't done in this window, which I do need to do, as you can see, 25. What I've got to try and do on this window, which I haven't done as yet, is got to get some grease on it. Again, because we're on the sea, again, I don't know if anyone that's watching this is looking to build on the sea. Again, as you can see down there as well, I've also dammed that as well. So as you can see here, this is silicone. That's just to stop the water going down. I don't know whether the actual window fitter managed to get the end pieces dammed properly. So rather than the water dripping now down into this threshold and going all the way along and going back into the room, I've just sealed that. So now the only way the water can get into this threshold now is to go through here. It still means if it goes, if there's a lot of water and it lands up coming into here, it can run all the way along and go through the damming. So I'm fingers crossed it's been done properly. But as I say, 2 of them are holding water and 2 of them aren't. This one hasn't been done. But what I've done on the other ones, he says, which I'm not too sure if I've done this one either. No, I don't think I have. So what I need to do on these 2 windows is what I've done on these 2, which is just put some grease. And it does actually start looking a little bit ugly. But yeah, you grease them just to make sure that the sea salt doesn't actually penetrate and start wrecking them. So the wheels themselves and the tracks, the hinges, again you can see like a slight shine on there. It's just getting a little bit of grease and getting that on there, and at the same time obviously greasing up the wheels as well to make sure they're protected. The salt here is absolutely lethal. Perfect example of that is, this is 8 months old. It's not been left out, it's just had, occasionally like now, I'm working, so it's open. Look at the state of it. So, one problem we have here, good problems that I've been dealing with, but anyway, let's go and see what the guys have been up to. The other thing I have done as well in here is fitted the skirting boards in and around the area here. So this has now been put down in 2 pieces, and there's a skirting board that's all gone around now, so that's now got to be corked in and repainted. So that's also because some of the doors have been installed as well. I've managed to actually do some of the skirting boards in and around the door frames, which is handy. The guys obviously just been focused. They've all gone to lunch. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, so you won't see a great deal. The guys have been putting more boards in, more cross members in. The rebar guys have not arrived, so hopefully they're not going to be delaying us. Normally we get delayed with the pour of concrete because of rebar, so these guys better not delay us, that's for sure, because this is an important one. But as you can see, all we've got to do now is just get this piece here cut out so the guys can do the beam. This thing can be finished off across here. These can be continued over and the boarding can go in. So within reason, most of this is nearly done. They've got to put a few more in here, so they've got to take some beams across here, and they're also going to be putting some 8x3 beams, 1 through here, 1 through here, and 1 through here. So they've got to be done. Don't know if the front beams have been done, I'm not too sure. No, they haven't got around to doing that as yet. But one thing they have been doing is pouring concrete into these as well to make sure they're all solid. So yeah, that's probably where they are pretty much in here. The painter's obviously been sanding down the roof, ceiling even, in the cottage. So that's pretty much ready to go. And we still got to get in here and sort this out as well. So I'm not too sure what we're going to do here. I think we need to get some of this soil leveled in here, but a lot of that soil's got to go down the back. So that's one thing we're definitely have to do in the next day or 2. It's one thing we've been putting off a little bit, so we need to jump on that. Other than that, most things are pretty much on for completion, but we are obviously talking about the same thing every day. So sorry if I sound like I'm a broken record, scratch record even. But from my point of view, all we've got to do obviously is get these struts in, get the formwork in. Tomorrow the rebar guys are coming in to install the beams they've been building. So they're taking the beams up, they're building them up there, and then they'll install them in place. So that's what those 2 beams are laying up there. They'll do the rest as well. So we've got the 2 2-foot beams to be built into a 4-foot beam for here, all the way around. They've got the same on the front of the building here, and they've got the same on the back of the building all the way through here. Plus they've got to install this beam here as well. So yeah, they're looking at building them up there and then bringing them down. Internally, what I'm doing at the moment, the next job after I finish doing those doors, and greasing them up is then cutting the kickboards for the kitchen, because the kitchen fitters just aren't arriving. So I'm fed up of looking at a kitchen with no kickboards and skirting boards. I'm just going to get that done today. That should be quite a quick thing. Should be able to fit those. There's 2 lengths of 6 meters. 6 meters? Yeah, I think it's 6 meters, yeah. So 12 meters worth of kickboard, skirting boards. It's just got to trim off ½ inch off of both of them, and then they can go straight in. And then I'll also rebalance the one of the units on the end, take the end panels off and get those cut and get those reinstalled as well. So that's pretty much done, and it's waiting for them to do the doors really. So yeah, that's my next task. Other task is painting the splashback for the kit for the WC, getting that installed. I think that's it. I think I've pretty much middled my list, gone right through my list. But I'm sure that list will carry on growing as the day goes on. But anyway, it's 20 to 1. I'll check in soon. Okay, so job 10 of the day. Probably 12 or 13. But anyway, into the WC, which is still not finished. So, skirting board hell. Here we are. Cutting the skirting boards, we had it delivered. It's not been painted yet, but I just wanted to get it done whilst the machine is out. So, just to show you what's done. So, a little bit pre-coloured in the corner. Cut, 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 cut. In walls like this with fresh plaster, when they plaster, they literally put on the wall and they do this or that. So normally what happens is they go like that, they create a little curve sometimes at the very bottom. So what I tend to do is just cut 45-degree angles on the sides of the skirting board, and most of the time, not always, most of the time it actually cuts that corner garbage out and fits in there nice, and you can just cork the top. So what we're going to be doing now is cutting the last part. So forgive me if I chop my hand off, because I don't actually have a GoPro. So when you're actually doing lines as well, to give an example, you can just about see that line there that's been pencil marked on there. I can actually see it, I can't even see it myself. And this piece is going left. So what you have to do is cut to the right hand side of the pencil line. Yeah? Otherwise what happens is the blade itself, as you can see, he says, you can see just about through here, the blade itself is around about 2mm, 3mm. So if you go on the centre of the line or left of the line, then you're not having a piece too short. So you always line up the blade so the blade is actually on the right hand side of the pencil line before you cut. So bear with me. So obviously we've now got to cut. We have Tyson in the pool, acting like he's filming it. What are you doing? Have you not done that yet?
Huh? I'm trying to finish having. Trying to.
So he's actually emptying the pool water, because after 2 or 3 days it goes stale. And you get mosquitoes, which we don't want. So in here, we still don't have the window fitted yet, so fitting a bit of skirting prior to window being done is always pretty dangerous. But this piece will go in here, like so. Fits perfect. So that will have to be painted, and that will have to be put in. This piece here, unfortunately, they've screwed this board a little bit too far over, so I can't cut that at the moment without taking this off. So I'll take this bit off first and do that in a minute. But obviously the painter can now take this skirting and start painting and getting prepared, and then we can just stick it straight on. I'm not doing a lot of returns, so things where there's frames here, I'm doing it flush. I may return that one, I'm not too sure, so let me know what you think, whether I should return that one to the door frame or not. Here, perfect example. So in the openings, I'm obviously doing the skirting on the inside, but I'm not doing the skirting here. One, because every wall is pissed, and two, because in the openings I think it's quite nice without. So again, I can't do this yet because the window's not here yet, so that would have skirting to here flush. I can't do that one yet because the door frame hasn't been put in here yet, which means eventually that will be flush. And we can't do anything down the hallway yet because the front door's still not done, which means we can't take that down, which means I've done that piece and I can't do anything else. I could probably do that bit there, but again, door frame needs to go in, skirting board comes to the door frame and vice versa. So these bits are done, we've still got to cork them in, And as you can see, this frame was only done recently, so we've got to get another coat of paint around the frame. But we're not going to do that until we've actually fixer-foamed this and got that done, and then we'll do the whole wall again. And then the doors need to be satin wood as well. So the satin wood is out. Here she is. Satin wood, by the way, here is bloody expensive. And one thing I have done, obviously, is started painting the splashback. So just to let you know, all I do is I go to Koymans. They do 60 lengths of glass, which are, what do they call them? Not laminated, toughened. They're toughened, but they're something else. There's a name for them. But they're off the shelf. They're about 44 Bayesian. And any colour you want, pink, grey, white. I'm doing white. You can paint the back with a satin wood. So as you can see, it's the first coat's drying. I put 2 coats, sometimes 3, and that lands up becoming a white piece of glass. And then when you stick it on the wall, you can stick it straight from one side to the other, and you get a splashback about here, and it's a white stained piece of glass that goes quite nice with the bathroom rather than being nothing stroke see-through bit of glass. And like I said, you could do it dark grey to go with the grey. It goes really nice. Obviously, you paint the back and you just silicone it on straight through. I'll show you another one, and then in fact, let me take you to the bathroom, one of the bathrooms, so you can see one of them in the flesh. So that one's white. So that's just stuck on the wall. It's painted at the back. You silicone the top and the sides, and it just acts like a splashback. Quite a cheap, easy way of protecting the wall without having to tile. And again, like I said, you could do light grey, mid grey. In a bathroom like this, you could do any colour you want. I mean, it might be nice to go with the same colour as the unit, but anyway. So I've also, whilst I've been doing it today, since this door frame's now in, that's been done. The door man has nailed these 3 examples on here of architrave. As you can see, they have different thicknesses. So I said it'd be better to go with something like this, probably a little bit wider. So we'll go centre with the door frame, come over to here, and obviously it'll be nice and flush white, flat white like that, and it'll come down to the skirting board. I've had to remove this piece of plasterboard going through the middle here today, because we've got a gap up here of plasterboard, and when it comes down here, it literally is flush with the door frame. So I've had to take it out, because the guy that fitted the actual walls, unfortunately, hasn't done them straight. So this is proud, this is in, and this is in, and you can't push this forward. So I'm not too sure at the moment what we can do, but I'll probably have to get a bit of plasterboard and have to cut it in half and try and see if we can try and bit a board in there completely shaved. So we shall see. I don't know. I'll also try and see if there's a way of pushing this back, but I've got a feeling that there's something in there supporting it. I think it might even be another U-shape channel going this way on the inside. So there's nothing I really do there. Skirting boards have been put on, obviously. Now that the door frames are in, I can put the skirting boards on. So as you can see, the skirting board's coming halfway through the door frame. These blocks, because I've stuck them on, these blocks are just there to try and hold off until the glue goes off. This one's been done. So again, like I said, I'm going to go and flush with the door frames. This one's been done, waiting to go off, and then we can do the next one after that one's gone off. Now to it. Yeah, so that's been done. And I think we're going to go for this one here and select all the way around. So the downside is some of the screws are a little bit to the left, which means I don't think this width will cover them. As you can see here, we're only going to be a little bit wider, and we're going to miss that screw. So I think we may miss some of the screws. But again, we can't do the skirting boards until the door frames go in. So I'm still waiting. So anyway, carry on cutting the last part of the skirting board in here. Then we're pretty much done waiting for paint. We have got to, unfortunately, redo the top here, because unfortunately I didn't do it straight. So they've tried to put a little bit of this flashing in here today to see what it looks like, but I don't think it looks good. So I think we're going to have to redo that, and refill, resand, repaint, unfortunately. So that's something we're going to have to do. And then I'm going to get stuck into doing the kitchen kickboards. Underneath here are meant to be going on. As you can see, I've done this side, and we need to do around here as well. So I want to try and get those cut and get those put on. In an ideal world, what you would do is make sure that you understand how wide they are, and make sure that your kitchen is balanced that height so they go straight in. But unfortunately, my luck is not, which means I've got to cut every single one of them. So in order for them to go in, they've all got to be cut, and they've got to be cut lengthways as well. So whereas I can just use this little puppy, which goes through pretty much anything. Obviously that only does short lengths, it doesn't do long lengths, so it is a bit of a pain to try and cut all of those. You know, they're all in about 8 foot lengths, and we've got to cut about between 1/4 and 1/2 inch off every single one of them, so it is a bit of a ball ache, but it is what it is, as I say, and it has to be done. The guys out there are obviously doing the pool. The other guys are in the cottage, which I'll show you very quickly. They're now mortaring behind the mixer, so the mixer can be fixed, because at the moment it is loose and laying there. So it needs to be fixed to something, but because the hole's so big, there's nothing to fix to. So they're in the midst of doing that as we speak, which I'll show you. Okay, that's all been mortared in now, look. So that's been done, that's been centralised. The next thing is to also mortar in all the taps and the trap that's the linear trap that's underneath as well. Showing sanding down, getting ready for paint. And then we need to source some tiles as well. The tiles I wanted, unfortunately, don't bloody have them in stock, which is typical. I should have bought them when they got delivered. But I wasn't actually going to tile in here. I was actually going to do something different. So I bought enough tile for the house, and I didn't buy it here. Now I wish I bloody had, because I haven't got it. So yeah, this has been sanded down today as far as the way. He's got some sanding on here. He filled the holes that we talked about in the ceiling. So within reason, we're nearly ready to start putting a coat of paint on. Just need to find out what he's going to be doing, like I said yesterday, about this edge that's not obviously currently right up. We might get away with caulking that, because it's quite tight. So fingers crossed, that would be the easiest fix. But I think some of it, you might have a little bit of a gap over there. But well, the guys obviously been focusing all day on doing the formwork. So fingers crossed they're making good headway over there. We've got some big beams up there as well. They've got some 1-inch steel in those beams, so they're going to be monstrous. And we had a bit of rain yesterday and the weekend, and I don't see any damp patches coming through the roof as well. So it looks like we've managed to solve that problem, thank God. So I'm still going to be doing a little bit more of a job on that. So, but I'll update you when I make a decision what to do. We've still got to patch up the hole that it created, which is near that light, if you can just about see it. So we've got to scrape that out and repatch that up and redo that. Again, the guy that did the roof really should be doing. It's 2:20. I'll check in as and when the day proceeds. Okay, we're 4:45. Day's come to an end. Guys are just shooting off. You won't see a massive change in here, but there is extra wood that's gone up. So apart from this little loft hatch we have, everything else is pretty much in. Now tomorrow we've got to build the 4-foot sides on the outsides now. So the inside ones are all in, at the back as well. Now we need to do the front ones on that side and the front ones on this side as well. So I've got to order 20 more jacks tomorrow. That's one thing I've got to do. And hopefully the rebar guys will be here tomorrow, because they've literally got 5-6 days to get this in. One thing we've had to do obviously is chase out the corners here, because the beams themselves have to connect into that. So you see the actual, the beams come out here, and you see the corner stuff. They've got to tie into all of that. So all of these things here, you've got one here, and you've got a whole line going all the way up. They've got to tie into that, and that beam then goes that way, and then shoots around that corner. So we've done that on both sides of the toilet here, and the other at the front of it is open. So that's all good. They've done the track down here, which I told you about, which they're going to do. We've still got to take the door off and do that properly. But all the skirting boards I've done inside, they're all cut off. Patio's been blown over. Looks a lot nicer. So yeah, I'm going to be doing the shower wall, by the way. I think I'm going to do that in a dark grey, same as inside. I'm going to do a dark grey smooth trowel plastic on that. Trowel plastic, by the way, is like a coral, but it looks like I don't know, it's shiny. You see sometimes, for instance, these posts here, they're made out of trowel plastic, but that's the rough trowel plastic, so you have like a coral sort of effect on it. But I'm going to go smooth, so I'm going to go dead smooth on here, and I'm going to go dark grey on all of it, bar the back. I'll probably keep the back as it is, and I think I'm going to stain these dark grey, so I'll look at your comments later on to see what you all think. But I think I'm going to go dark grey stain on here, so rather than a paint, I think I'm going to go for a concrete stain. The guys finished off this as well today. although I do want them to go inside and build a box in behind it, put some fibre into the concrete, potentially put some high rib, which is the metal that they sieve the sand with, and they also use on the corners. I'm going to get them to put some of that in there and waterproof all of it and box it so that the water pressure can't push that out. As you know, that's got to go over to here in case it overflows, and this has been kept just in case that overflows. So if that overflows and it can't handle it, then this one can spill out as well. We've still got to take all of this mud down from the back of the house all the way down here as well. It's a job that's been put off, but we do need to just get on with it and get it done, because at the moment it's something that's lingering. So, and I've also, at the weekend, I was at a friend of mine, and they had just a table with loads of chairs around it. I thought, you know what, it just reminds me we need to do a fire pit. So I'm thinking about doing a fire pit. Now, do I do it here, where you can easily access it from the stairs straight to here and you still got the beach view, or do I do it on the beach itself in front of the house, central? So do I do it here, right in the middle, or do I do it over in this corner here? So down in the comments, let me know what you think. Where should I do it? I want a big one as well. So I want it sunk into the ground. I want some form of concrete seating all the way around it, whether it's square or round, don't care. But obviously a fire pit in the middle, seating all the way around it, seating for about 20 people. And obviously at night, great to be able to listen to the trees, listen to the water. We're also going to light up all in here as well. I mean, it's lit up anyway, but it's lit up by next door. So we're going to run electric out here, and we're going to light all up in here. And we're also going to light up down here as well and around the front. So yeah, it'll be a nice little corner to do that in. So obviously we've got to get an excavator in to move these massive great things if it's going to be here, because that is a tabletop rock. It is massive. And so these two, without being really massive, massive as well. So they've all got to be moved. Where we move them to is a different matter. But you know, it may be, I don't know, maybe they form part of it, who knows. But anyway, let me know. Do we do it in this corner here, where you can easily access it from the actual steps, or do we do it around here, right in the middle of the house? Either way, I think it'd be great to have some form of big fire pit down here. You know, don't get me wrong, we've certainly got enough space up here to spread out and do what we want to do, but putting a fire pit up here I think is a little bit difficult. But I think on the beach would be absolutely amazing, especially if we can try and again put some hammocks out there as well. But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments down. Point of view, if you're watching it for the first time, please like and subscribe. I hope you found it informative. Today was a pretty easy day today, so there was no real pain, no rectifying, no undoing for once, which is always nice. And from my point of view, obviously we're getting there. Each day comes on, we're getting closer and closer to getting it finished. So as much as I don't want to lose the guys and whatever else, it'd be nice to get the house finished and not have to be doing any construction anymore. So from my point of view, new people like and subscribe. Comment down below if you're new or old, and I'll check in later on and look forward to seeing you tomorrow.